This is the Kpopcast. How's everyone doing? I am your resident K-pop b-boy Supermatic, and as always, I'm joined by my awesome co-host over here, DJ Peter Lowe. How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing pretty good, Matt. It's hot, but I'm ready to talk about K-pop. I'm ready to talk about one of the many K-pop songs of the summer, and it's Red Velvet and their song Red Flavor.
For sure.
So, Supermatic, what do we have on the show for today?
Oh, we've got our listener feedback, and then we have our hit replays before diving right into Red Velvet. Let's get to it.
Listener feedback.
Quick listener feedback. Ricky Woodson weighed in on our SoundCloud last episode. He left a number of different comments. He wrote, "Love Boa, but this just isn't my style. Haven't enjoyed any of the new music since she started doing this dance club phase. Oh, I have missed the days of Azealia, Sarah, Ang Babo Gacho. She and Xinhua introduced me to K-pop some 17 years ago, so she will always have a special place in my heart. And that camouflage section of the song is dope, and the only part of the song I dig." And I think what Ricky Woodson is kind of showing here is that Boa has clout for us veteran listeners, right? At least for those of us who have been around this block quite a bit. But for maybe these newer K-pop listeners, Boa's effort to try to be clubby and dancey isn't succeeding as well with the latest generation. I'm talking about people who got into the scene maybe after 2014.
Yeah, I do appreciate her trying to go ahead and be fitting into this dance club phase like Ricky and you were talking about, but for me personally, I mean, I guess I'll always be partial to older style Boa because I mean, that's what I know. That's what we all know. And most of us got into K-pop through that.
We also had a comment on our Facebook page. Jennifer had some interesting remarks on Boa's chorus.
Yeah, that's right. She said that she thought it was an unremarkable/unmemorable track. She can't really remember it now. And she tried listening to it over 3 times, trying to find some sort of hook. And she found it unfortunate because, of course, Boa is Boa.
The hook was just so smooth with the verse that it was hard to make it memorable. And this is post-production Peter Lowe weighing in. We got some more really awesome comments after we recorded this last episode with Supermatic that I'm actually going to insert them in here. So one comment that I really wanted to call out, and this is a lot of feedback that we got from a lot of our listeners, is that we said Boa didn't have a point dance. Well, we were so wrong on that. That hook in the dance move was very obvious to a lot of our listeners. It was so strong that Twitter user What Will Said tweeted at us saying, "I think I found the key point of the dance. I call it, quote, letting these bitches know what time it is." And he showed a gif of Boa moving her arms up and down. Listener Ashley also commented on our blog calling out exactly that same point, that same hook. If you watch in other reaction videos to Boa's CAMO, everyone seems to recognize this point. So we're totally off here, and that is absolutely a recognizable point. Ashley points out that no one detail is by accident. The concept of red is symbolizing this idea of camouflaging her emotions. We see her in the jungle scene really letting loose her emotion, and it's showing how she feels on the inside. And this machine that we see in the jungle is what's projecting this camouflage. And scenes when she is in the red backdrop, she's trying to break free. And at the very end of the music video, we actually see her break through that camouflage and presumably reveal her feelings to the suitor. So there's a lot of detail in this music video, such that it actually makes me change my score on the song as a whole from not Daebak to absolutely Daebak. It's very thought-provoking, and I think this artistry does a great deal of justice for Boa. Ashley writes, "I can only assume it's because Boa loves her job, because she sure as hell isn't doing it for the fame and the fortune anymore. She simply doesn't need to." And with that was a fantastic comment by Ashley. I'm going to drop back in to our regularly scheduled programming.
With regards to one of our other hit replays, which was, I believe, Hyolin's Fruity, we had some feedback from our other avid listener, Marvid. Hey, Marvid, thanks for your feedback.
Yeah. So Marvid wrote, "Yes! This is my song too. I felt a void this year without Sister Summer hit, and yet, if they had to come back with one, I would have wanted it to be different from their other ones. This was what filled that void. It's exactly what I wanted Hyun to release. Her ballads better showcase her voice, but upbeat songs like this one showcase her overall amazing stage or video presence. Totally agree. Yeah. So this was definitely my summer song. So what's making you hit replay this week, Supermatic?
All right, so it's interesting because I had a hard time finding a hit replay this week, and then I remembered hearing a lot of my friends going crazy because apparently Newest re-released one of their title hits called Hello, but it's a 2017 version. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Newest's work, like their previous hit. The original version, it opens that hook like you hear a phone call and then it goes 여보세요. Like that was one of their title tracks. From 2013, they re-released it as a 2017 version, I guess as like a thank you to the fans because they got a lot of support while they were recently on Produce 101 Season 2. So as a thank you, they re-released this, and it's a softer take. It's more ballad-esque, only backed by just a piano, and then it's Newest's members all with the vocals. It's really nice. It's really soothing. I don't know, just listening to it definitely brought back a lot of flashbacks because the original 2013 version I associate with a lot of my early delves into K-pop. So that's got me hitting replay.
That's a good pick, Supermatic. It's what I guess one would call a stripped-down version. It's very smooth and velvet like butter in terms of how the strings and the piano weave and complement the vocal performance of Newest.
Yes.
밥은 먹었니? 어디서 뭘 하는지 걱정되니까 여보세요 왜 아무 말 못하니 여보세요 여보세요.
Yeah, that's definitely why it was an easy pick for me. But while we're at it, Peter, what's got you hitting replay?
This really dope song that's making me feel like Gucci. I'm referring to Jessie and her totally rad boobs in this song off of her Unnie verse or U2 verse. I think it's a wordplay that makes it sound like Unnie verse in Korean. And it's the Gucci song off of that album. Listening to a lot of Jessie's interviews, one thing that you can learn from them is that she's like the most realist K-pop star out there. She's very genuine in terms of who she is and being confident in herself. And we see that, of course, reflected in this song. She remarks in interviews that this is a new chapter for her and her career and trying to be more of that aggressive, confident self. It's produced by The Stereotypes. These guys are the same guys who produced hits from Far East Movement, Function of X, Super Junior, EXO. One of my favorite songs by NCT 127, their song Whiplash. But I think a lot of Americans would know of Stereotypes, sure, from Far East Movement, but also from 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars. So they're the guys who produced that song. And they also produced this song by Jessie.
Nice.
Jessie even says, we live in this world where we're supposed to be a certain way. There's haters and whatnot, but I'm Gucci. Her haters, I think, are her motivator, and we see her sort of responding to that and using that to strengthen her own ego. So give it a listen. When you got those haters, just turn this one up.
And I feel like Gucci. I feel like Gucci. Yeah, I feel like Gucci, baby. I feel like Gucci. I feel like Gucci, baby. I'm hot on that. Yeah, I feel like Gucci. I feel like Gucci.
Yeah, I definitely was checking that out. I saw it drop on its actual release day, and I gotta say, it was pretty good, pretty memorable. I probably may have picked it myself if you didn't, Peter.
I think for us Westerners, I mean, Jessie comes from New York, and I think even in New York, people value that authenticity and that realness. All right, well, let's go into Red Velvet and their song of their summer, Red Flavor. So there was one YouTuber who I want to call out, K-Pop Junkee, where we kind of get a lot of this background from. But what K-Pop Junkee pointed out is that, look, if you look at this music video on the whole, it seems to harp on an old theme that we see, quite frankly, a lot in K-pop, this concept of maturing and getting older, right? We reviewed this in other songs. But more specifically, it's resolving the conflict between work and play as you get older and figuring out what you're supposed to be. And that's what this song is all about. It's that tried and true fairy tale of the ugly duckling who becomes a beautiful swan. At least that's what I think K-Pop Junkee and what I'm getting from this music video and from this song.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. Like, I wouldn't have maybe made the ugly duckling connection, because each time I watched the music video, I just saw it as pretty much the girls of Red Velvet calling themselves fruit, going from the seeds to growing and becoming ripe and then fully bloomed.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess it can relate. It's within that same notion.
Yeah, right. I think there is some tension, right, when they're young seedlings, or the young girls are young seedlings in this music video. Backing up, maybe we should describe it for people who haven't seen it yet. What are we actually seeing in this music video, Supermatic?
You know, it's pretty interesting because at the start, it's kind of like I'm not sure if you want to call it like home shopping network, but it's like one of those television infomercial style things that you'd see. We see all the girls of Red Velvet kind of like in an interview section, but they're interviewing like giant pieces of fruit, which I guess is supposed to represent themselves. It's it's very Red Velvet-esque, honestly, as far as the music video goes, because we see different scenes of these girls just doing that and then like having fun, running around. We see flashes of them as children, and then we see them dancing. It's very bright, very colorful, very vibrant, very Red Velvet.
Yep. One thing that always stood out to me, Matt, and I think you were the one who pointed this out to me either on a previous episode when we were just talking about K-pop in general. You explained to me that like Red Velvet as a concept is a duality between two states of being. One being the red, where you're strong and elegant, vivid and bold, that sort of image. Whereas the Velvet side reflects their classier, toned down side. This song is called Red Flavor.
Yep.
So it's more the former, right? It's that stronger, elegant, vivid and bold image and concept that we're getting from them in this music video. So you said that we see the girls interviewing fruit, and I mean, one can note that all the fruit that they're interviewing, we've got a watermelon, we've got kiwi, we've got oranges. I mean, these are all fruit that you enjoy in the summer, right?
Yep.
On a hot day. I think this is definitely a song about maturity. So looking to the K-pop Junkee theory, we can look at a lot of the girls being young fruit. We see this in photos of the girls acting young, right? In the photographs, we see a photograph of one of the girls in pigtails, and then her also being shown in the pigtails. We see images and videos of young seeds being planted to correspond with the young girls. So I think that was very deliberate, that we're showing that the girls are young and growing older. And as they're young, they're still trying to figure out what they want to be when they grow up and finding their natural place, their vocation in the world. And we see this in the form of the lyrics, but also in the bottom side-scrolling comments. So, you know, usually in news headlines, you'll have like the news headline rolling at the bottom of the screen. We see that that same headline rolling at the bottom, but offering clues and really questions that the members are asking themselves or their older fruit in these music videos. At the start, we see one of the girls, she's doing one of those, you know, drawings where she's trying to draw the pineapple, right? And she's trying to draw, and she's literally or metaphorically trying to connect the dots, right? Trying to figure out what she's supposed to be. And we see the other girls also interviewing these elder, complete, fully ripe fruit. You know, how did you figure it out? What was it supposed to be? In the bottom side-scrolling comments, we see that sometimes I'm not sure who I am. During my childhood, I was very mischievous. So these are girls who are still trying to figure out what they're supposed to be. One of the side-scrolling comments even says, I hate how I'm rolling around all the time. There's clearly frustration in not knowing exactly what your vocation is. I think even as we're growing older, we always like, well, I want to be this. And it turns out maybe you end up being something else in the end. But one of the girls said, I wanted to be ice cream. And it shows an image of watermelon in the shape of an ice cream. So this is clearly someone who's a watermelon thinking that she wants to be ice cream. But in the end, we know that she eventually becomes watermelon, right? But it's, you know, these like sort of like novelties that you have in your youth that kind of shape, okay, maybe I want to do this when I get older.
Yeah.
So I think we see that, right? I mean, are you with me in this theory? I mean, myself and K-pop Junkee, I think we both feel like, okay, this is clearly young girls trying to look to figure out what they want to do when they get older.
I could definitely see it. Yeah. As you were going through and explaining everything, I was thinking back on the video because I literally was just watching it earlier. I totally see it, like all that representation. It's kind of funny, like this whole idea that, because, you know, fruit in general, like itself, it could be comparable to kind of a human being. Like we go through similar phases, you know, from like infancy all the way to like full growth.
Do we also get fermented, Matt? I don't know if that metaphor directly carries into our, you know, as we get older, but we see that fermentation, right, with the grapes. We actually see this in one of the side-scrolling comments where the young grape is asking the older grape, do you know wine well? Which we all know is fermented grapes, right? So grapes, after they've reached the end of their life cycle and now are this high class thing. I think when we think about getting older or hashtag adulting, you've got to figure out, okay, gosh, you need to start doing all this grown-up stuff now. Like you got to start paying a mortgage. I mean, this is what I'm doing in my life right now. You got to start figuring out, you know, how to, you know, do home improvement. I mean, I was just at Lowe's today, right? These are all like things that we have to do when we get older. Red Velvet is about finding that balance between those two things. And the question is, like, can you, when you become an adult, do you have to be all velvet? Does it work all the time? No, you still have these moments in the summer where you can be fun and spunky. And that's why I think at the end of this music video, we see all the girls partying at a party.
Yeah.
Right? Because they've matured and they've figured it out. And they figured out that they can be both red and velvet at the same time. Of course, the song as a whole is emphasizing the red aspect of it. I mean, this is, after all, the red flavor. We see this underscored in their outfits, right? A lot of their outfits play up that red feature. So it's about happiness. And those moments in your youth when you're still trying to figure out what you want to be when you get older, those, of course, have an influence on what you are as an adult. So did you find it weird when you saw that blue-orange, or rather the orange on the outside and it was blue on the inside?
Yeah, I was wondering like what the heck that was supposed to represent, because I was like, that's not a normal orange.
Yeah, well, if you're familiar with Red Velvet, do you remember Happiness, their first debut song?
Yes, that was back when they were OT4. They didn't even have Yuri with them yet.
That's right. So Wendy, in her highlights, they were blue. And this was her at the beginning of her debut, really in her rookie days. And so it's a throwback. So Wendy is the orange, right, in this music video. And yet the inside of the orange is blue because back in her rookie days, she had the blue highlights.
That's right. Huh.
So your decisions in your youth can shape your adulthood and the flavor of your future.
Oh. That's pretty cool.
So I think on the whole, it's a really fun thing about figuring out, okay, maybe you're sour right now, you hate rolling around, but one day you'll be full and sweet. And you will find that balance between being playful and fun and grown-up seriousness.
For sure.
I think it's also funny because by the end of that music video, that girl who was tracing the pineapple together, she finally completes it at the end. She literally connects the dots.
Yep.
She figures it out. Now, in terms of like my own life advice, I would say you never actually figure it out. Even adults are fronting, so to speak, right? Adults are still figuring out exactly what they want to be. But I think it's still this, this nice story, this nice message we can tell those kids who are about to enter the real world, right? Who are still trying to figure out what they want to be. And we even see this in the one girl who's wearing the red graduation cap and gown, right? Who's about to enter into adulthood, but who's still being fun and spunky on her skateboard. I think you can still do those things into adulthood, but you're going to balance it with the Velvet. What did you think of the concept, Supermatic?
Honestly, I liked it. I'm not really sure if how deep they wanted to go with it, but I mean, as you already pointed out, the whole thing with the orange and Wendy, like that representation itself, I didn't even make that connection until you pointed it out. So good job with that.
K-pop Junkee was the one who first pointed that out, so I just want to give credit where it's due. But yeah, I thought that was a very strong evidence, or at least very strong theory.
Yeah, well, good job to K-pop Junkee for pointing that out, because I could totally see it. Like, now I'm remembering happiness, and I'm like, oh yeah. But yeah, the concept was pretty cool and refreshing, if I may say, because I don't think Red Velvet has ever done directly like a summer concept. So to see them doing something like this is pretty refreshing and nice to see from them. The fact that they're doing something really colorful, really vibrant, and yet it's still fitting of who they are as Red Velvet, especially with, as we said, and with their title song being the red flavor. So yeah, it's really fun. It's definitely a pleasing watch, and it's nice to see them going this route.
Yeah, I think it was also refreshing. I mean, assuming that this theory is close to what they intended, and I think there's good reason for us to believe that it is. Mm-hmm. I like having that level of a message, right? For those who are maybe graduating from high school into college or college into the real world. These are the sort of like things that you want to take. Let's enjoy this summer, though. This sort of interlude, right, before the real thing. Mm-hmm. You're not going to know... And where I disagree, of course, with music videos, that you're not going to actually know what your vocation is. You're not going to actually know what your fruit will be, really, ever. But you'll continue to, play it and work it out. Mm-hmm. So on the whole, I think it's fun, it's spunky, it's very colorful as what they're trying to be, and it definitely reminds me of the visuals from what we've seen from Dum Dum or Happiness. Mm-hmm. But I think the whole fruity aspect of it really gave me really strong Happiness vibes.
Yeah.
And their song Happiness was their debut single, and it was almost tropical, I want to say.
Yeah. It takes place in like a forest and stuff.
Okay, so one of our critiques of Bo was that there wasn't a really strongly defined point dance. Do we see that in this music video?
I want to say that we do. So far to this day, like in between right now and however many days ago that this dropped, there haven't been any official dance practice videos uploaded yet, but there are some live performances that Red Velvet has done their comeback stages on, shows like Music Bank and M Countdown, and I went ahead and checked it out, and the dance, I gotta say, does feel very Red Velvet-esque as well. It's bright, perky, full of energy, and I do think they have some point dances, like especially towards the chorus, where we saw it in the video too, where they like lift their legs up and then they do the hands like tasting, like almost as if you're like tasting fruit, like that part. At least in my opinion, it's not as intricate or difficult as some of their other choreo to their songs, like Dum Dum is mainly the one I'm thinking of. But where the strength of this one lies in is they have really good formation changes, and as well as the fact that the girls' facials when they're performing it just really sells it, because like we've been talking about, the song is very bright and energetic, it's got that fruity summer vibe. Yeah. And the way that the girls sell it, just always keeping that smile on their face and being like this face full of wonder as they're doing the dance, I think that's where the strength of it lies. And honestly, I could see it being a lot of fun for cover groups to do. Yeah. So I'm waiting to see those.
Assuming cover groups also match the facial expressions. Because the facial expressions, to your point, Matt, I think they really sell it. If you're able to capture that same complexity and the different nuanced feelings, and yeah, they're all happy, spunky, goofy facial expressions, right? But they're nuanced in each of their different ways, and I think that's what really sold it in the music video. So let's bring out more of that red concept, and dance groups, we're looking to see you bring that same level of emotion.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so what did you think of the song itself, Supermatic?
It's funny because I remember that when the song first dropped, and the video as well, like I just found myself remembering what I saw in the video more than remembering how the song sounded. It wasn't until I kept on watching it and the more I was actually taking it in that the song itself grew on me. It's full of moments, definitely. I mean, as we've established always, I'm a sucker for anything that I find catchy. And I gotta say, one part that I actually like about the song, I've heard it being critiqued by some other people, but for me, what I liked was how they have this there's a part throughout the song that sounds kind of like garbled repetition of the words red and flavor.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, red flavor, like,
Yeah.
like that. But I thought that was pretty good. I felt like it complemented the song as a whole, and it helps to reinforce that whole red flavor concept, as well as towards the end, like the chorus is catchy, you know, it's like it's got that melody, that da 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 da, which of course I'm not actually going to say the Korean lyrics because I don't want to butcher it, but it's got its moments that definitely help it to stick out. And towards the end, I have to know Wendy with her high notes as she's like closing the song, like, and ending it on that like high falsetto. Like, good job to her, because it felt like a very smooth way to end the song.
Yeah, those belting falsettos, like I'm not technical in that way, but yeah, the way she comes out of the bridge, I think is really strong, and that's a very memorable part of the song that not all girl groups can deliver on, honestly.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't really like the song. Like, I thought it was very similar to Happiness and Dum Dum and maybe Ice Cream Cake sort of vibes, right? In terms of how it sounds. I would put this in the same playlist of Blackpink's As If It Were Your Last. It's another fruity summer K-pop jam. And I would put all these songs together. But this song is probably my least favorite summer song that we've seen from K-pop thus far, at least for 2017. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but the songs that I really love from Red Velvet are the Russian roulette sort of side.
Oh, okay.
And that was a very different sound, I think, than what we got from Dum Dum or Happiness. So Happiness, like, is great in itself, but it's not my preferred flavor. Composition and production wise, it was fine, but there's nothing I can artistically ding it for in the sound, but it's just not my flavor.
Okay.
Their other song, Zoo, off of the same album, would have been my pick. But I can see why they chose Red Flavor as their title track. I think it makes sense to be on brand for them. And I think the general reception that we're seeing from other fans to this is they actually really enjoy this song, right? So on the whole, it seems to be well received. Okay, final scores?
Audio-wise, I guess I would definitely have to give it a really solid 3.5, only because while it's nothing like super remarkable, it's something that grew on me, and I'll enjoy it whenever it comes up.
I'm trying to find a reason not to rate it highly. like an objectionable reason why not to rate it highly. I think at this point you just have to know, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while and you know what Peter's preference is, which tends to be a dirty electro ratchet beat. This isn't one of them, so maybe for that reason I have to also give it a 3. It's okay. It's great, but not something that I'm going to hit replay on.
Okay.
The concept?
It's kind of funny. I found myself giving the concept a 3.5 as well, only because, like, while it's nothing super remarkable, what I did really like, again, as I said earlier, is that it was refreshing to see Red Velvet going full out for a summer theme this time around. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a sucker for fruit and, like, bright, vibrant feels. It's that time of the season, so 3.5 for the concept as well.
Okay, I'm going to give it higher in the concept, mainly because I love the theory, or at least the plausible theory, that I think is likely. It was their deliberate intention behind the producers and the lyricists behind this song. So it tackles a question that I think their target audience is always going to be asking. Like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And how do you adult?
True.
How does one do adulting? This is that song. And it's about having fun in the process. So I'm going to have to give it a 4.
Ooh, okay.
I also have to give major props to how animated the girls were. I think it's easy to rely on your looks, in your cuteness, your beauty, your natural beauty, to win a lot of fans. But what I think Red Velvet did really well in the concept here was they played up their emotion.
Yeah. For sure, definitely see that, especially as we talked about earlier, like not just with the dancing, but even in this music video, we could just see that, like, their facials on point.
Exactly. And it's that spunky energy that I'm getting from their facial expressions that really win it for me, at least for the concept and the visuals. So that's why I give it a 4. So on the
Okay.
whole, is this song
Daebak
Daebak or not? Supermatic.
I mean, if my scores didn't indicate it already, I'm gonna have to give it a Daebak. It's a definitely fun, enjoyable summer bop.
Yeah, it's fun. The better summer bop is Hyolyn's Fruity. I prefer that flavor over this one, audio-wise, but
Totally not biased. Cough, cough.
I think I have a real strong bias for female diva idols. That said, the
CL,
song, CL, Jessie, Hyolyn,
Yeah.
but
That's all
this
you
song,
hear.
this song is still Daebak. I want to say it's Daebak, and what it really does for me is the theory and the message, and the production value is there, both in the audio and the concept, and they deliver something that really only Red Velvet can deliver.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree.
Well, that was it for this episode of the Kpopcast. Let us know what you guys thought of Red Velvet's Red Flavor. You can give us a tweet on Twitter at the Kpopcast. I'm at DJ Peter Lowe. And where can people find you, Supermatic?
You can find me just at Supermatic, SOUPERMATIC. Engage with us, we'll engage with you.
Yep, that's right. And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, leave feedback.
Yeah.
Let us know what we can do better. Tell your friends and your friends' friends. And people who listen to K-pop, tell them to listen to us too. And listen to us on the go. You know, while you're driving or doing your dishes. I think that's always a good, fun way to listen to K-pop. Or a K-pop
definitely.
cast. What are we going to be taking a look at next week, Supermatic?
Well, we've got some big releases coming out this week, but I think the main one we're looking forward to is Card and their first full album drop with the title track Ola Ola. And hopefully we'll be able to take a look at that with Steph.
I think it's been a running joke for us is that we've been waiting for their debut, or we've been waiting for the D, because each of their songs starts with a K or an A or the R. And now it's finding the D. So we've been waiting for that D. We want the D,
Right.
the debut for Card. And Ola, from what we've seen from the previews, I think it's going to be that one, at least from what we've seen thus far. And maybe so maybe Steph will come back from her fabulous vacation abroad to join us.
Yeah.
Okay. Catch you guys all next week.
Yep. Thank you as always. Peace out.